Hi, this is Matt from Visier, and in this brief video, we'll be having a look at some of the content and capabilities through Visier's platform, specifically embedded analytic applications and our generative AI offering V. And to provide a roadmap of what we'll be covering, we'll be having a look at some of the pre-curated content that comes out of the box with Visier, as well as some of the self-service capabilities for analytic exploration. We'll be looking at how insights can be delivered on demand and in the flow of work, plus how anyone, no matter their comfort level with data and analytics, can explore insights. And to start things off, we'll be having a look at a way to explore insights with zero learning curve by seeing how Visier's generative AI solution, V, can deliver insights across the organization in a natural and simple experience. Now, traditionally, department managers depend on having to run reports, comb through data, or rely on analysts and BI tools to gain insights. And in the case of V, without having to run a report or manually configure filters and options, I can just go ahead and ask some questions. So let's go ahead and see this in action. I can leverage some of the starter questions or start with my own questions. And for today, I'm curious to know a little bit more about overtime in my organization. So I'm just going to ask a simple question and ask a prompt of overtime hours by team for last quarter. And V is going to understand and take my question and then be able to provide me with not only a response that's written out that I can read and understand, but also visualizations of that information. And so I have an answer here. The different parts of the organization that are experiencing the most overtime. So I can see operations, marketing, and customer support. So V has understood my question. It's answered my question and provided me with the answer, but it goes a step further to be able to provide me with that visualization that I can go down and explore a little bit further. There are some key insights here that help take away the most important pieces of that information, plus additional context through these different tooltips to make understanding this content really, really simple. And in this case, I see operations having a ton of overtime hours spaced. So I'm curious to know a little bit more about what's going on in operations. So maybe I want to know which jobs in operations work the most overtime. Once again, V is going to take my question, convert that into a query, and come back and respond. Now, the security in the background is making it so that I'm only seeing the information and the data that I should be seeing. It's inheriting my security permissions, which is a really nice touch. So now I see and got my answer back. Specifically in operations, here are the different job names with all the highest recorded overtime hours. And so not only, once again, do I have a written response, but also to be able to view this information in a visualization. And again, this is something where I can dive into these details a little bit further, whether or not I wanted to just mouse over, get this information, but I can dive into this further. Plant operators, looks like they're kind of leading the pack here. And so just as I'm interrogating this data and learning a little bit more, I want to know more about plant operators. I'm curious to know how many people work here and are we losing people? So I want to know headcount and turnover rate for plant operators. If they're working this much overtime, perhaps we need to hire some more plant operators. I'm curious to see what that headcounts look like and what might be happening with that headcount. And so I've asked my question and I'll be getting my information back in response. So I can see my headcount was 414. I have my breakdown of this information. I'm curious to know how has this looked over time? So that's what we're looking at for right now. But being able to just contextually ask this question, because we're having that conversation, I can just ask that question now. And now I can see V has understood the context and has provided me with a trend. And so here I can see headcount has started off in the 600s around 2022, has kind of steadily decreased and starting to tick back up. So that might be a reason as to why we're seeing more overtime. But has that impacted people as far as their turnover rate? So I have a lot of information. It's been really, really helpful for me to get this information. Now, by leveraging these advanced analytics and conversing with generative AI from Visier, seeing how HR and different talent teams can easily and quickly get to insight with zero learning curve, and also just how intuitive it was to interrogate the data. And ultimately, this all comes together to help break down data barriers for everyone. For the next item, we'll see how Visier can support data exploration in a self-service capacity. And to start things off, we'll be having a look at how a key stakeholder like a talent acquisition operations manager on their own can leverage capabilities through Visier to easily curate and share insights with key business stakeholders or even their boards. And we'll start by covering a few topics. First, we'll present and share that content in a board presentation, and then we'll collect and arrange content for a bespoke presentation. Now, I have up on my screen an example of a guided analysis that covers the topic of recruiting pipelines, which contains a ton of useful insights and information focused on bottlenecks, time to hire, and stage conversions. And this is just one example of many different dashboards and analyses that would be made available out of the box for your customers. And you'll notice what's different about this analysis compared to a dashboard is how the information is being presented. Vizier's made a ton of effort making people insights easy to understand because we know it's something that holds people back when it comes to analytics. We know not everyone has a background in data science or has experience working with data. And so through our data storytelling and journalistic style approach to analytics, we democratize data for everyone in the organization, no matter their familiarity with analytics. And one of Visier's guiding principles in analytic exploration is through data storytelling. And this analysis is framed with questions that matter. And for each question, we address them with data. But it also offers additional context in the form of text that helps make understanding the content simple. Now, whether I wanted to present this content live or download it to be shared, Visier makes it extremely easy. Analyses can be emailed to audiences, and whether or not this is something I want to set up on a recurring schedule or based off of different rules. Content can also be shared with other individuals or downloaded into a number of different formats. But for live presentation mode cuts down on the time it takes to format and prepare a presentation like a board presentation and enable a live interactive experience. And diving into the details is also simple, and it goes a long way without having to reference screenshots of stale images with outdated information. Diving into details is also really simple. So just by clicking on any one of these visualizations, I can now dive deeper into different insights to get key insights and to see just additional information. Whether or not I wanted to, on the fly, change these different time windows, adding different filters. This makes it extremely helpful, especially during a live presentations, because it gives me the flexibility to handle questions about the data. There are tooltips included that provide key insights along with additional details on how items are calculated or provides guidance, for example. And your customers can leverage this out of the box content to deliver a presentation, or select content and easily build their own. There are features like the capture button, which makes taking some of these different visualizations and then saving them to be used for a presentation later. So, for example, if I wanted to build out my own analysis, Visier makes it extremely simple. I have an entire blank slate here, and I can add my title to this analysis. And now I can drop in some of those different visualizations that I saw a moment ago from that analysis. And perhaps I wanted to just put something together quickly and add up my own text. So I just added my text notes can go here, and maybe I want to drag and drop it and put it over here, and maybe I want to change up the way this information is being displayed, edit my different display names. And so there's a lot I can do with my analysis builder, giving it a title, adding in and dropping in information. Plus, I can go a step further and drop in different images and links to give it more of a personalized and branded touch. And with just a few clicks, being able to create my own bespoke analysis or dashboard is extremely simple. And now this is something that I can download or present live or be able to share with other individuals. Now, Visier's advanced Capabilities like presentation mode and analysis creator makes creating and sharing insights simple and helps share information across the business to help stakeholders use data to better advise and guide on talent strategies like where to invest their people and process, and ultimately comes together to help with efficiency and capacity for key stakeholders. For the next item, we'll have a look at some of the pre-curated content that comes out of the box through Visier's embedded analytic applications. Visier's embedded analytic apps are built on the Alpine platform and are made up of analytical content and capabilities, and are a set of predefined analyses organized in topics and entities and metrics relevant to key personas, whether that's an HR business partner or a program manager, line managers, executives, compensation planners, for example. Visier's analytic applications cover the entire employee lifecycle and can go deep and wide across a number of different topics. And you see those different embedded analytic apps here, whether that's going to be through compensation. I see a series of different topics which are considered both light and premium content, again, for recruiting and talent acquisition. For today, we're going to drill down and look a little bit deeper into organization, into core HR, and looking at starting off with light dashboards. Light dashboards, like this HR business partner overview, was designed to provide essential analytics to your customers. And it's through these dashboards where users can interact and share with others. And they can use this default content and add filters and group by dimensions and view detailed records. And so for each and any one of these visualizations, I can click into and dive into some additional key insights, drill down within this information, be able to look at it through different time windows. If I wanted to apply different filters, I can do so right here. But by comparison, from a light dashboard, our premium content, and so premium content includes comprehensive and prescriptive content to support guided analysis and all the capabilities required for ad hoc analysis and storytelling. And so we notice not only do I have visualizations, which I have my key insights and tool tips and visualizations, but you'll notice that this analysis is framed up with different questions. And not only does it provide that information in a dashboard format, but also starts to not only tell a story, but dive into content that's looking at predictions and having different drivers of understanding not just what's happening, but why is this content happening, even being able to take into consideration different benchmarks. And so premium content goes just that extra step further to be able to provide the consumer that content with written narration and guidance, additional metrics, additional visualizations, and additional capabilities to really explore that content. And so it's really through Visier's pre-curated content and that out-of-the-box content that insights can be delivered to your customers at scale quickly and really providing a tremendous time to value versus having to build and design all this content yourself. For this last segment, we're going to see how Visier can help engage executive stakeholders by delivering insights to where they spend a good portion of their day, which is their inbox. And delivering insights in the flow of work is key to ensuring the consumption of those insights. Now, the email example that I have up on my screen, which is really around talent and performance, it could be delivered on a recurring basis. So think a monthly or quarterly digest, for example, that could be created and delivered on a schedule. Dashboards and analysis could also be delivered to serve as an alert, meaning that if a particular metric, say goal completion, dips below X% for a particular slice of the organization, send this alert out to a designated audience. Now, this is extremely valuable when you consider the infrastructure and support, not to mention the security required to deliver notifications at scale to a number of different personas. And by clicking on the link, I can be taken back single sign-on through your application and directly into this analysis. This particular dashboard analysis is just an example of something that lays out and covers a number of different useful metrics that span across performance. So it's looking at how performance has changed and what's driving performance and how does performance compare to different benchmarks. And our advanced analytic capabilities make exploring and interacting and drilling into these details and sharing these insights and content easy for your customers and your stakeholders. So by leveraging capabilities from Visier, we've seen how executives can be served insights in the flow of work, as well as how dashboards and analyses can be made available on demand, which comes together to help improve the adoption and stickiness of your product while engaging additional stakeholders. Thank you so much for watching, and please reach out to your Visier account executive or visit visier.com/embedded for more details.